What's up, guys? I'm sure if you've been around for a while, you probably all know who Jeff Cavaliere is. You've probably seen his videos. He's the owner and founder of athlean-x, as well as having a master's of physical therapy and being a certified strength and conditioning coach as well. At one point, he was also the lead physical therapist and strength and conditioning coach for the New York Mets. He definitely knows his stuff, but a while back, he made a video about the muscle up and why he's not a fan of the exercise. And today we're going to go through and just figure out if some of his rationale is valid and if some of it might be open for debate. So let's get into it.
So we're going to talk about the muscle up today. A lot of guys have requested information about the muscle up exercise. There's a reason why I haven't really covered it all that much, because I don't really like the exercise too much, especially as a physical therapist. But first, let me demonstrate what it is for those of you that aren't really familiar with what the muscle up is, right? And we pop ourselves up to the top, okay? And then we come back down. Now, a lot of times as a PT who trains athletes, you got to have the risk reward benefit for an exercise. And to me, this is a little bit of a party trick. It's a lot involved with timing.
So he gets into the risk reward and how there's not many benefits behind this exercise. The muscle up has many benefits and transferable to functional strength, pushing and pulling. Think about rock climbers, anything like that, having any kind of plyometric power, but also just the raw strength to be able to do it without kipping at all. But in terms of risk reward, he's not wrong. You could injure yourself doing this. There's ways that we can progressively overload this safely, and we'll get into that in a little bit.
You definitely need strength to do it. Matter of fact, I wouldn't recommend that you attempt the exercise if you can't do at least 10 strict pull-ups, maybe more like 15 strict pull-ups. I'm not talking about kipping pull-ups, guys. 10 strict military pull-ups, and then also our dips. You gotta be able to do at least 20 dips.
But yes, 100%, he's not wrong. 10 to 15 pull-ups, 20 dips, sounds like a good prerequisite to me.
The idea here, though, is what is the body doing in order to get you up there? A lot of momentum, but then inside your body and your joints, there's a lot going on that maybe necessarily isn't all that great for you. So most importantly for me, two things going on here in the elbow and the shoulder. The elbow, you have to, in order to get this exercise right, and I'll show you how to do it if you're gonna still ignore my advice and try to do the exercise. You gotta get really rapid flexion here of your forearm, okay? So you're gonna be turning your wrist over at the top so that you can actually position your hands on top of the bar to be able to execute the push. To do that, you have to have a lot of flexion right here in these forearm flexors, right? You gotta get a quick, strong contraction, which is all placed, the brunt of it, right here in your medial elbow. So guys that have medial elbow pain, golfer's elbow, this will flare it up pretty quickly, especially if you have a history of it.
Okay, so yeah, he makes a compelling argument again for the forearm flexors, for that rapid flexion, because the way he's transitioning is like this, and it's that repetitive strain, that medial elbow pain, golfer's elbow. How you can prevent this is by strengthening the forearm flexors to begin with. And how you can do that is many various exercises, but recommending, I would say, false grip, where your knuckles are already pointing to the sky. You're already contracting the forearm and you're building that forearm strength in your pull-ups. Eventually, you can progress to using band-assisted high pulls, pulling yourself higher and higher. Your forearms will get more and more developed, and you'll prevent medial elbow pain, and in a lot of cases, repair it if you have it.
Secondly, you got to really turn yourself over. Well, this is internal rotation at the shoulder. And again, internal rotation at the shoulder, especially quick internal rotation at the shoulder, especially if you have a shoulder that's not really biomechanically set up properly for that. So if you have a hooked acromion here, this could quickly lead to shoulder issues too.
So yeah, one of the most common injuries with the muscle up is that shoulder internal rotation, that impingement that often occurs. And that's obviously due to improper form. And I know, like, he's exaggerating it here, right? But yeah, like a lot of times you'll see beginners starting out try to do that chicken wing, and that's exactly what you want to stay away from. A proper muscle up, really any pulling exercise, even pushing for that matter, you want to keep your elbows tucked. And in the case of a pulling exercise, you're keeping your elbows tucked because you want it all on your lats. You don't want to overcompensate with anything else. You don't want to be throwing around momentum, because that's, like he said, when injuries occur. So how do we do this? We do this with bands. And you can start off with the heaviest resistance band, and first just trying to pull, like, first, don't even worry about making the transition. Worry about pulling at least to your chest level. Once you can get like just below your sternum here, that's when you can start thinking about the transition safely. Because yeah, like, you don't want to be internally rotating the shoulders, especially with momentum. But momentum's not a bad thing in the muscle up. Momentum is necessary for all beginners to learn. Pretty much anyone that you see doing muscle ups, they started with momentum.
So it's not one of the top exercises that I would ever program for an athlete, because thirdly, I talked about it being a little bit of a party trick. It's just a momentum thing. So
again, he talks about it being more of a party trick because of the fact that you're using more momentum than strength. But the momentum is, I can't emphasize this enough, the momentum is part of the learning phase. Once you get that mind-muscle connection of that transition, that's when you want to start trying to overload that and trying to get stronger and stronger in that, so that you can pull strictly without the use of leg drive, kipping, anything like that. You guys know I'm not a huge fan of the full grip for the reasons that he discussed, because you have to make that snappy transition. You're already starting at a disadvantage because you already have to make that full transition, whereas with false grip, all you have to do is push through the movement. With full grip, he talks about, that snappy transition can lead to a lot of strain on the elbow and create medial elbow pain, golfer's elbow. Another issue, like he was talking about, he had bad shoulders. So if this is an exercise that aggravates your shoulder, maybe you do want to stay away from it, at least for a little bit. But if you guys want a video on how to fix your shoulders pertaining to calisthenics-based skills, I've left a video. It should be right here. Overall, I'm not trying to discredit Jeff. He certainly knows his stuff. He's an amazing coach, an amazing human being, maybe just not a practitioner of calisthenics. But basically, I just wanted to make this video to kind of show you guys that you can safely progressively overload muscle ups. You can safely learn the muscle up. There are ways that you can do it. And I certainly think it's an exercise that's worth putting into your program. It's not just a party trick. There's many functional applications to the muscle up. What do you guys think though? Let me know down in the comments below. Be sure to like and subscribe for more videos like this one. Later, guys.